The Natalma is a Breeders' Cup prep per se. It's a grade one. It's the fifth race on Saturday's card. It's running a mile on the turf for 2-year-old fillies. And I didn't mention when for our video for the male version of this race, and the name escapes me right now. Uh, but this is a one-turn mile at Woodbine, and I think that's really important to mention. It probably allows some of the more speed, sprint-oriented horses to stay in the race a little bit. But did want to note that this is a one-turn mile. And we've got a full field of 13 here. We've got a couple of imports. Latin Fever, who is a new, Mark Cassey now trains, but it's coming over from Ireland, as well as Mountain Breeze, who was trained by Charlie Appleby with Bill Buick, of course. And so we want to keep pay special attention to them. Want to note a couple of things. Number one, as I mentioned for the again, the male version of this race, and I can't remember the name right now. But anyway, as we did there, every horse with an asterisk by their name is a non-Mark Cassey entrant. So if you count, that means that Mark Cassey has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the 13 in this race. The second notation is the hash mark. And what that indicates are horses that are cross-entered in the male version of this race. And the summer stakes, I'm sorry. Jeez, getting old. So anyway, they're cross-entered in the summer stakes, so we don't know whether or not they're going to run here or in the other race. For fillies, there's a few of them I think they're probably more likely to run here. I would say in particular Winterberry, because the post position is more favorable. But those are the two notations, and I hope that doesn't confuse things too much. It's trying to make it a little easier. So the hash mark, they're cross-entered in the summer stakes on Saturday, and the asterisk means they're non-Mark Cassey entrants. So we take a look at this field, and you'll see that, again, no surprise with the 2-year-old race. A lot of these like to run on the front end. The two that are confirmed to be, I think, will be definitely wanting to get the lead are Anascal and Winterberry. Anascal is coming in for Christophe Clement, who is just firing like crazy at Woodbine. I believe he's won 3 out of 4 with a second. That follows up from a pretty subpar Saratoga meet for him, but he did get a win with Anascal at Saratoga. She drew off very nicely in a 5.5 furlong race, and would certainly be, I think, is probably a pretty deserving second choice here at 3-1. My one concern is a horse moving from 5.5 furlongs to a mile, and I think that's a really big jump. She does get the rail and probably will be able to get up where she wants to and save some ground, but it's just that little thing about the big jump in distance. Now, Christophe Clement is great with second-time starters, and that's so we know that, and the fact that his barn is firing so well, you'd certainly have to consider Anascal a prime contender in here. But I just have a little bit of reservation. Number one, the field size, and secondly, that 5.5 to 1 mile. Couple that with the type of race that she ran. Her final fraction was pretty light. She was drawing off and wasn't challenged really in the stretch, so we can kind of give her a little bit for that. So maybe there's more in the tank here. But I have a couple of major concerns with Anascal, and she may just be she's by American Pharoah, so she should get the distance, but looks to me more of a sprinter type, but certainly one we want to consider. Now, if any of you have watched the posting I did on the summer stakes, you'll know that I really like Winterberry. This horse was just fantastic in her debut at 6.5 furlongs. Looked like there was plenty in the tank left as she drew away from that field. And I think she's going to relish the mile distance. at 10-1. I think that's just outstanding value. And Winterberry's my pick to win this race. She could very well get on the lead here and not look back, or she might be able to rate a little bit. We're not overly certain about that, but just got the feeling that this horse is really going to love the added ground. And I just was really, really impressed with that start. So I'm going to go with Winterberry on top. Now we take a look at some of the others. Mounted Breeze is an import for Charlie Appleby. And one thing that's really important to note about Mounted Breeze, she is a May 2-year-old. And those of you who know, that means that she was born later than a lot of other horses in this race. So she's a little behind the 8 ball in terms of physical development. And she has acquitted herself pretty well overseas, most notably in the Albany Stakes in Ascot. She got a pretty good fourth. But one of the things I've noted in her races is she just seems to, she's had every chance in all her races to win and hasn't got the job done. Now, she's been facing Fairy Godmother, Heaven's Gate. There's some really top quality 2-year-olds. But I just found it, a little troubling, the fact that she doesn't quite finish. And it's clear in those races that she's not fast enough. Now, that may have something to do with the fact she's a little behind in terms of physical development. But it does give me a little bit of pause, particularly when you put her at the 13 hole and stretching out in distance. I think she'll get the distance fine. I just have some reservations that maybe she's not quite ready to win this type of race with this kind of field. So Mounted Breeze, I think, is certainly one you want to use without a doubt. But at 5-2, I can't take her on top. Italian Soiree was the favorite in the race with Queen's MG, and ran up. I guess it was a good enough second. There was a really hot pace in that race, and the thing I liked is that she was able to continue onward and close well after staying fairly close to it. So she was no match for the Queen's MG, who faltered in his next start, but I thought it was a pretty good effort. And moving to turf, I think she should be able to do without any trouble. So I think Italian Soiree, coming from off the pace, should be one to definitely consider. Latin Fever is coming over from Ireland, and I'll tell you, this is a really interesting horse to me. She just ran at Leopardstown in a race with a turn, number 1, and I believe it was 7 furlongs, maybe 6.5, can't remember. But it was a big field. It was like a carbon copy of this race. At 1 turn, big field, and she closed very well to take it down. So her second start, you should certainly expect improvement. And the fact that she has some experience with a turn and a big field, I think are 2 really big pluses. And I like Latin Fever here, especially at 15-1. So I think Latin Fever is a really good sleeper in here. From the late runners, we talked about Will Rain in the Summer Stakes. I liked what I saw from Will Rain in the Catch of Glimpse, but she seems very, very green. She was all over the place in the stretch. And that's really the only thing that keeps me from making her more prominent. She's still a maiden. But I think this horse is going to be one to watch later on once she gets the kinks out. But right now, she's just a little too immature for me. 20-1, you want to put her underneath in the try of the Super. I wouldn't talk you out of it at all. But I just think that she's got some more growing up to do. From that same race, Ready for Candy, I thought, got a good second. And what I liked about Ready for Candy is the fractions from the first race to the second are improving, and she's certainly managing her speed better. Is still a maiden, but what I've liked is she's continued to improve with every single start. Her class rating continues to rise, and those of you who have watched my posts before, particularly on the Derby Trail, know that that's really something you want to watch for in younger horses. It means that they're getting better progressively. So I think from that standpoint, Ready for Candy can certainly take another move forward. And at 12-1, coming from off the pace, I think this one stands a really good chance in this race. So we take a look at our betting strategy. I'm going with Winterberry. I just really liked what I saw, and I think the longer the races get, the better she's going to like it. So I'll take Winterberry on top. Then we'll do a 4-9 cold exacta with Latin Fever, and then we'll box the two of them because I do think Latin Fever has a puncher's chance of getting up in this race. Then Mountain Breeze certainly is a horse to consider. We'll box her along with Winterberry. And then we'll, as a sort of a saver, we'll do an exacta key with 4 on top, with Italian Soiree and Ready for Candy in second. For the trifecta, we'll just keep it real simple. They're awful tough to get home in these big fields, but if we do get what we want here, we're going to get paid without a doubt with all the value in here. So we'll take Winterberry 4 on top with 9 and 13, Latin Fever and Mountain Breeze in second. And then we'll use 1, 2, 8, 9, and 13 in third. And if we get this one home, we're looking pretty good. So Winterberry for the upset in the Natalma. Hope this helps you with your own wagering strategy. Wish you the best of luck as always. This should be a really fun race. The summer stakes as well. These 2-year-old races with big fields are always pretty exciting. It's going to be a really good day of racing at Woodbine, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are as well. So that's it from here. I'll talk to you soon, and until then, be well.